The door shouldn't be unlocked. That's the first thing the hotel staff notice. The hallway breathes cold. No voices, no footsteps, no signs of struggle, just one door at the far end of the corridor, open. A door that should never be open. Inside, the room feels wrong. On the desk rests a silver laptop. To the staff, it's just a guest computer. To the woman standing in front of it, Jennifer, it is a vault. A vault disguised as a machine. A vault that holds more than money. It holds the financial lives of 115,000 people. Retirements, mortgages, futures that families spent years building. Jennifer leans toward the screen. She presses the power button. The screen blinks awake. It asks for one thing. One password. She tries the anniversary date. Incorrect. His childhood dog's name. Incorrect. The password he always claimed he used for everything except important stuff. The Netflix password. Incorrect. Her breath escapes in a single, thin cut of air.
Why didn't he tell me?
Her husband, Gerald Cotten, founder of QuadrigaCX.
So I created QuadrigaCX in 2013, and we basically are now the largest exchange in Canada for buying and selling Bitcoin.
Supposedly holds the keys to
Congratulations.
$190 million in locked customer funds.
It's $190 million of customers' holdings are locked inside, and no one can access them.
And the only path to that money sits trapped behind this unmoving screen. Before the day ends, the world will hear a story so bizarre, so knotted, so steeped in betrayal, that investigators still argue over what truly happened inside this room. Was it a tragedy? A trick? Or the cleanest disappearance the crypto world has ever seen? To understand how a soft-spoken Canadian became the center of a global financial mystery, we need to go back to the beginning, to the boy who never stopped chasing loopholes, and the habits that shaped every catastrophe that followed. Before the headlines, before the locked laptop, before the hotel room in India that froze a nation, Gerald Cotten was just a username. If you met him in high school, you met a ghost. Quiet, polite, a pleasant kid who held doors open and blended into the wallpaper. Teachers trusted him instantly. Neighbors said he was nice. But people who knew him as a child say something else. Gerald never lived fully in the real world. While other kids stacked hockey cards, Gerald dissected puzzle boxes to learn how the locks worked. He built escape rooms out of cardboard and duct tape. He stayed awake until sunrise hunting for secret passages in video games long after the game over screen had faded. He didn't care about winning. He cared about breaking the system, finding the one path no one else could see. And then, somewhere around his early teens, the puzzles changed. Gerald discovered a different kind of hidden door. Online communities obsessed with digital cash, payment loopholes, and financial tricks that shouldn't exist. Most people saw quirky internet experiments. Gerald saw power, digital currencies, reward exploits, payment hacks, tiny sequences that could turn cents into dollars if you knew where to click. But Gerald didn't just study these systems. He studied the people inside them. On forums filled with aggressive scammers and hardened criminals, Gerald found his superpower. He didn't act like a criminal. He acted like customer support. Calm, helpful, articulate, perfect grammar. The face of a choir boy behind a screen full of thieves. And in the early internet, where trust didn't exist, the most dangerous person was the one who seemed trustworthy. By the time he was 18, Gerald wasn't just participating in HYP's high-yield investment program, a sanitized name for Ponzi schemes. He was helping run them, and he learned how easily people believed you when you didn't sound like you were lying. In the dark corners of those forums, Gerald attracted someone else. Older, experienced, a criminal record that stretched across borders. A man who called himself CHPTER. Gerald had the face of innocence. CHPTER had the mind of a felon. And together, they were about to build the perfect trap. Because before QUADRIGA ever existed, there was this partnership, and it reveals the true beginning of the story. Fast forward a few years. Gerald is now a young man, walking into a small cafe in Vancouver. He orders a coffee and pulls out a thin laptop. He types fast, checks forums, swaps digital coins like he's trading baseball cards. Then a stranger sits across from him.
Mind if I join you?
The man asks. This is Michael Patron. Patron is older, sharper, and carries himself like someone who always has a backup plan. He talks fast. He avoids details. He knows the language of risk a little too well. On paper, he's a businessman. In reality, his past is a maze of name changes and online controversies. He once operated in the world of shadowy digital currencies, including projects that faced serious legal trouble. And the two of them were a perfect match. They loved the hustle. They loved the rush of using a computer screen to make real-world money appear and then vanish. But Gerald sees something else, someone older, someone experienced, someone who understands digital currency like a second language. They start working together. Face become meeting rooms. The laptop becomes their headquarters. And Patron becomes the mentor Gerald never had. They create small digital payment projects together. They experiment with currency transfers. They test systems no bank understands. But one thing becomes clear. Patron likes risk. Gerald likes control. Both like the freedom of systems without oversight. And eventually, that shared hunger leads them to something bigger. A platform with no bosses, no guardrails. QuadrigaCX. And QUADRIGA's rise would be faster than anyone expected, but its foundation would be thinner than paper. It begins in a cramped apartment in British Columbia. Not an office, not a headquarters, just a dim room where the curtains are always half closed. The hum of computer fans never stops. Gerald Cotten sits alone at a small desk, lit only by the blue glow of 3 monitors. His fingers move quickly, almost obsessively, as he builds the foundation of a crypto exchange. That, within a few short years, will handle more money than some regional banks. And he builds it quietly, patiently, like someone assembling a machine only he intends to understand. QuadrigaCX launches at the exact moment the world is losing its mind over crypto.
Coin's value reached $11,000.
$12,000, $15,000, $17,000.
The new currency is making a lot of
Bitcoin is skyrocketing. Everyone is convinced they're standing at the doorway of a new financial age. Banks crawl, QUADRIGA sprints, open an account, deposit funds, buy crypto in seconds. To thousands of Canadians, QUADRIGA becomes a golden gate into the future. To Gerald, it becomes something else entirely. Because behind the facade of innovation, something deeply abnormal is taking shape. Every major crypto exchange uses cold storage, offline vaults designed to protect millions in customer assets. Teams manage those vaults. Multiple signatures, multiple roles, layers of oversight, redundancy built into redundancy. QUADRIGA has none of that. Gerald rejects it all. He hires no CFO, no compliance officers, no senior engineers. He simply declares, quietly and without discussion, that he alone will control the cold wallets, the hot wallets, and every dollar of customer money flowing through the company. Not a team, not a board, just him. For customers, this sounds comforting. A single founder, a steady hand, fewer cooks in the kitchen. But simplicity can be a disguise. Because when one man holds every key, that man holds absolute power. Inside the apartment, the laptop is not a tool. It's a throne. Every deposit, every withdrawal, every transfer routes through Gerald's fingertips. He becomes the entire financial system of QUADRIGA. Its engine, its vault, its firewall, its final decision maker. A junior employee once gathered the courage to ask, who else had access to the vault? Gerald barely looked up. It's safer this way, he said softly. Fewer cooks in the kitchen. The tone was gentle, the smile even gentler. And yet something in the room shifted, like the temperature had dropped without warning. Still, people believed him. He looked harmless, boyish, almost fragile. The friendly genius of Canadian crypto, giving interviews, stepping onto stages, calming nervous. Investors with a soft voice and a reassuring grin. But what the world didn't see was the other Gerald. The one who worked at 2 a.m., encrypting files no one would ever read. The one who created systems no auditor could verify. The one who treated customer funds not as sacred deposits, but as number he alone was entitled to move. QUADRIGA was ballooning faster than he could manage, and Gerald, for the first time, began to feel the weight of the empire he had built on his own shoulders. In the quiet corners of that apartment, the cracks began to show, silent at first, but growing, spreading, because a kingdom built on a single point of failure can only survive as long as the king does. And the moment the crypto market begins to turn, everything he's hiding starts to pull itself into the light. And when the market collapses, QUADRIGA's invisible vault becomes a ticking bomb. Late 2017, winter creeps into Vancouver, cold enough to sting, sharp enough to signal change. Bitcoin explodes past numbers that were unthinkable a year earlier.
Hitting a new record price yesterday to nosediving today.
Bitcoin took a serious tumble.
It's now down almost 50%.
60%. People who thought they were very wealthy will suddenly become bankrupt overnight. In just 24 hours, more than $60 billion was wiped off the value of the entire cryptocurrency market.
And QUADRIGA, Gerald's homemade empire, suddenly becomes the center of the crypto universe. Users flood the platform. Deposits surge, withdrawals spike. Everyone wants in, and everyone wants out. But inside Gerald's apartment, the reality is far less triumphant. He is drowning. Support tickets pour in at 3 in the morning. Emails from panicked investors never stop. He shuffles millions between wallets with hands trembling from exhaustion, trying to keep the entire operation from collapsing under its own weight. And then the cracks begin to show. Deposits freeze mid-transaction. Withdrawals stall for days or weeks. Some users log in and swear their balances look wrong. The technical failures are real, but the real disaster is much darker. Because by this point, QUADRIGA isn't failing because of traffic. It's failing because Gerald crossed a line months earlier, and now he can't find his way back. Using the master access only he possesses, Gerald has been quietly creating accounts under fake names. Alistair, Seamus, Scepter's wife. Dozens of them. Ghost accounts with enormous balance and trading privileges no normal user would ever receive through these identities. He gambles with customer funds on external exchanges, losing unimaginable amounts in highly leveraged trades. Every mistake digs the hole deeper. Every bad bet multiplies the debt. QUADRIGA is no longer an exchange. It is a vortex, a one-man Ponzi scheme kept alive by new deposits that Gerald immediately siphons to patch the wounds he inflicted on the system. Each day becomes a race against the truth. Regulators start asking questions. Banks freeze transfers. Customers grow louder, angrier, more suspicious. Gerald keeps smiling in public, the soft-spoken genius with the boyish charm. But behind closed doors, he wakes up gasping, chest tight, mind sprinting through scenarios that, all in the same way, prison, disgrace, collapse. One night, with the walls closing in, he turns to his wife and whispers, "When things calm down, we should take a real vacation." But things won't calm down. Not with the crypto market seconds away from detonating. Not with millions missing. Not with the truth starting to bleed through the cracks. And so, in the middle of the chaos, bank freezes, police complaints, collapsing market, Gerald makes a choice that will shape everything that follows. A choice that begins with a sudden, quiet purchase, a one-way ticket to India. And what happens there become the most disputed chapter of Gerald Cotten's life. December 2018, Gerald Cotten boards a flight to India with his wife, supposedly for charity work and a honeymoon. But Gerald is strangely quiet. Too quiet, he checks into a pink-walled heritage hotel. He unpacks almost nothing. He places his laptop on the desk, face down, as if hiding the screen from the world. The next morning, he feels sick. Then worse. Then much worse. Doctors rush to treat him. They take notes, check vitals, exchange hushed medical terms under their breath. His wife stands beside the hospital bed, holding his hand, watching his breathing slow with every passing hour. By evening, the hospital records mark a final time. And just like that, the only person with access to QUADRIGA's cold wallets is gone.
what?
Yeah, this is a real mystery that's unfolding this morning, and it all has to do with the death of the CEO, Gerald Cotten. He's the founder of QuadrigaCX.
Back in Canada, the employees received the news with disbelief.
Astonishing story. Gerald Cotten passed away and he took the passwords with him. And that means $190 million of customers' holdings are locked inside and no one can access them.
Gone? How? Who has the keys? Where's the backup? The answer hits like ice water. There is no backup. There never was. A single point of failure has just taken down an entire financial platform. Hundreds of millions in customer funds are now trapped in wallets no one can open. But when investigators begin searching for those wallets, they find nothing. Not locked funds, not hidden keys, not a vault waiting to be cracked open. The wallets are empty. They were emptied months, sometimes years, before the India trip. But by who and why? To find answers, investigators follow the digital footprints Gerald left behind. The investigations into QUADRIGA produced two main theories, both unsettling, both incomplete, both possible. Theory 1, the tragic collapse. Gerald tried to hold QUADRIGA together alone. He made mistakes. He moved funds to cover losses. He planned the India trip long before the crisis. His passing was real. In this version, QUADRIGA is a tragedy, not a trick. Theory 2, the escape. Gerald knew the wallets were empty. He knew regulators were closing in. He planned the trip as a way out. He used loopholes to build a financial disappearance act. Under this theory, Gerald didn't vanish by accident. He vanished by design.
If we exhume Jerry's body right now, they will claim that's not his real body.
We need hard fact evidence, and the only place that could provide that, Gerald Cotten's body.
But the truth? Still unknown. Even today, customers, regulators, and blockchain experts stand divided. There are no confirmed sightings, no proof of anything beyond the paperwork, no closure, just an empty safe in a quiet hotel room, and a mystery that refuses to die. Two endings exist. Only one feels real. Which one do you believe? Comment below. And if true stories that feel like movies matter to you, you're already in the right place. Subscribe.